All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Event Recorder Saving Fleets, Drivers, and Dollars webinar. My name is Nick Hillesheim. I'm the Chief Sales Officer here at TVC ProDriver, and I'm joined today by Shahbaz Chaudhary from one of our partners, Spireon. So Shahbaz is going to talk to us a little bit about a little bit of background about Spireon and all things that they do. But we're mostly going to focus really on the event recorder section and some of the value that can potentially bring to your fleet and to you as an individual driver. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Shahbaz to introduce himself and give a little background, and then we can go ahead and get into it. Shahbaz?
Thanks, Nick. Thank you everyone for joining the call today. Happy Wednesday. I am the Director of Channel Sales for Spireon. Just a little bit about myself. I've been in the telecom and telematics industry for about 15 years. The objective today is kind of, as Nick said, just kind of a little bit talk about who we are and then just kind of get into the importance of the video dash cam, the benefits, and just why invest in one of them. So just get into it. Just a little bit about the company. We've been in the business for about 20 years. Our headquarters is in Irvine, California. We have 5 regional offices in different states. And one of the things that makes us unique is our platform that provides visibility and insights to the current 4 million connected devices we have in motion. That includes, mix of fleet, trailers, and heavy equipment. Well, we are to be proud to be the #1 in the U.S. aftermarket telematics company. And one of the other competitive advantages we have is our partnership with our Ford and GM, which means that there is no hardware involved. You guys have, I'm sure, heard about OnStar. So when you're looking at just a capital investment, if you have the Ford and GM devices, there's no capital investment needed. Just another unique thing about us is our customer service. As you guys can see, our average net promoting score is 83. The reason behind that is all our customer service, our IT, help desk support, all of them are employed by Spireon. That makes us really unique. We also have 300 plus certified installers nationwide, which we manage by ourselves. So we do all the heavy lifting at the back end when it comes to customer service and our customers. So who is Spireon? Just give you a little bit of overview on where we shine the most, and we kept it simple. We have 3 unique solutions. One is our universal OBD2 device. I'm sure you guys heard about it, and most of you guys know already. It's a plug-and-play device that can operate with our trailers, can operate with all different types of mix-up fleets, and it's for also, if you look at some of the benefits, looking at increased dispatch efficiencies, reduce vehicle misuse, or also a new business opportunity by adding stops on the fly to the closest driver. So some of the benefits, and then we have our trailer and asset management, which is more unique about just, if you look at it, it's connected to our FL360 as well. And just think of increased trailer and asset utilization, that you can get your assets back to work faster. And it's also can be a part of ELD compliance as well. Lastly, we have our dash cam, which we're going to talk a little bit more about it. And then also it does include an AI built in, which is an in-cab coaching solution. What that means is simple as the FL dash cam has a built-in distracted driver detection that creates audio and visual alerts to drivers in real time. That allows them to correct their risky behavior before an incident occurs. Just what we talked about, all our 3 solutions, just how we combine into one, is this is where our platform that we have over FL360, our trailers, FL Dashcam, all you can manage everything on one UI platform that makes us unique. I don't want to get too much into it, but I just want to give you an idea how that works in terms of location, engine diagnostics, behaviors, compliance, all that can be done on that same platform. So I'm just going to quickly get right into it about the safety dash cam and why it's important. So some of the data that we have done, the research we have done, the FMCSA has shown in the last, I would say, 2 years, there has been close to 126,000 accidents involving commercial trucks and buses. Of those accidents, 4,000 has resulted in fatalities, and about 63,000 or half of them involved in injuries. So the first main question that everyone asks is, hey, why should I invest in a dash cam? So the primary concern we all know, one of them is, aside from the upfront investment cost, is Big Brother watching over. And a dash cam might capture content that might be harmful in a future lawsuit. So although it's a valid concern, our experience by just having conversation with independent contractors, operators over the years, that most commercial motor vehicles drivers are good drivers. And involving a truck solely is not the fault of the truck driver. Therefore, we always, consult and let them know that the financial investment in dash cam probably will help with future litigation costs, payouts, and probably a related savings in insurance premium as well. So I'm just going to stop quickly before I get into a little bit more. Any questions?
Yeah, folks, if you have questions, feel free to type it in the chat, and we can answer questions as we go. And I've got a question, Shahbaz. So, as you look at, you mentioned a couple of areas that, there's benefits from a dash cam perspective, right?
Yeah.
In your experience, what would you say is the greatest area for return on investment, for folks that are looking into this, right? Is it really around the exoneration component? Is it around improving safety? If they have a fleet to see driver behaviors. What would you say is the biggest area for return on investment for the folks that are listening?
I would say it's the distracted driving is the main one. That there's a lot of drivers out there that either are just using a device or just not paying attention. And then and then also we have seen a lot of theft as well.
That makes sense. And, so you mentioned AI on your device, so the artificial intelligence. Is that able to pick up like cell phone detection and some of those things as well as, just the distracted driving, or what does that all do, the AI?
Yeah. So the AI, the distracted driving, it can go from a seatbelt, food, drinks, smoking cigarettes, using your cell phone, all that can be detected with AI. So that makes it really unique and helpful.
Yeah, and we all know, the importance of not, using our phones while we're driving, a personal passenger vehicle, let alone a semi truck, right? And in my experience, what I found is, I'll even catch myself like using my phone, and I know, I had a dash cam in my truck, and just watching video. It's crazy how many times I actually picked up the phone without even realizing that I was doing it. So it's one of those things, even if you're an individual owner operator, having that visibility and, getting some of the reporting, from an AI perspective, it might help give you insight as to, your own behaviors that you're not even, really realizing that you're doing. So it's really quite interesting, some of the technology and what it can do.
Right. Absolutely. And then, if you look at just an average, let's just say on a low end, the average crash cost for an employer, is minimal. It's close to $16,000. So just if we're looking at an ROI perspective and just how the dash cam and the AI solution can help, well, it's just an ROI just right there.
What was the $16,000 charge? I didn't catch that, Shahbaz.
So it's an average crash cost can be just with the vehicle, or it can be just damaging a building, or that's just an average cost to an employer.
Right. Yeah. No, all good stuff. So you also mentioned insurance premiums, right? So in your experience, Shahbaz, in working with different insurance companies, I've got some experience because I used to work at a company called PeopleNet, Trimble, and then I was at Smart Drive. So very familiar with some of the benefits from an insurance premium reduction. But the way I understand it is essentially, if an insurance company is offering that discount for a certain provider, if you're able to provide the same types of services with a different vendor, they have to offer you that same type of discount. Is that your experience and what you're seeing today, from an insurance perspective, Shahbaz? Are you seeing insurance premium reductions with folks that put this on their trucks?
Yeah, we have seen. So just to give you guys an example, just what happened in the last 2 months with one of our customers, and then how that helps with the insurance premium as well. So to put things in perspective, tractor trailer driver rear-ended a box truck driver that was slowing down due to traffic ahead. So the truck driver allegedly said that there was no attempt to apply the brakes prior to the impact, resulting in serious injury to the box truck driver. Fortunately, there was a camera involved on the windshield, showed that the box truck driver walking around the incident scene without any apparent injury following the collision. So that just overall, that's just having the camera helps with the insurance premium. So we have seen in the past and moving forward with other companies who are actually using a dash cam, resulting in the insurance premium, they're not paying that much upfront.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. You mentioned, I mean, so the camera that you guys offer, so, I see it's got driver facing and it also has forward facing. Do you have the ability to shut off, like if a fleet or, an owner operator wants to purchase, this type of solution, do you have the ability to turn off the driver facing camera?
Yeah, you can turn it off, but there will be a notification on that the camera is off. So you will just get, but it's still being recorded. So we have an SD cam, we have SD SIM card inside the camera, so that it does capture all the events.
Right.
And it's connected to an OBD2 device, so you cannot just actually turn it off. There will be a notification. If it's off, then you can turn it back on.
Right, but if somebody doesn't want to have it on, they can turn that feature off, so it's not recording in the driver or in the cab, right?
Yes, you can turn it off. Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah, because I know, in my experience, there's, some folks are concerned they don't want to have that camera on in the cab, right? So, and what I mean, you mentioned it, right? One of the biggest components, not only improving safety, but also exoneration, right? So, proving that the driver is actually the commercial driver is actually the one in the right, He was innocent in the event. I mean, that's the biggest, sometimes the biggest area of return on investment is just in that exoneration component. So you're capturing most of that with that outward visibility to prove out exactly what was taking place. So, I know that's, sometimes a big concern is folks don't want the camera on in the cab. So, and some do. So it's nice to know that you have that flexibility with your solution to really choose if you want it on or want it off.
Yeah, and then, the other thing, just to look at a positive note, is you can reward your employees. You have set up policies, hey, there's no drinking or seatbelt needs to be worn all the time. Just employees who are actually doing what's supposed to be done, you can reward them and pay them more. It can be an incentive.
That makes sense. How about like from a, I mean, as you're capturing videos, right? So you mentioned you're connected to the, to the ECM on the truck, right? Through the, the different ports, right? You have the OBD2 and I'm guessing the J1939 ports and 1708, all those. Yep. So you're connected in there. Is it capturing the events based upon like certain triggers, Shahbaz, or how does your solution work?
Right. So it's capturing depending upon you set up the triggers at the back end. And let's just say if there's an accident, it does capture right away. And then that when there is an accident or event that happened and you guys have set up the trigger at the back end, that will just go right back to the management team, just kind of look at what's going on, or it just kind of records all the events. If nothing happens and the triggers are not set up, and the triggers you guys have not set it up, you just keep recording.
Okay. And how about and I don't know if you're going to get into this and you might be, on your next slide, but, as you look at scorecarding, right? So, I mean, You're capturing all these events. So, if I'm an individual owner operator, right? I mean, this stuff's important for me to see too. So I know if I need to change my behaviors to make myself, just improve my, my overall safety, right? But, from a fleet perspective, how does the fleet go about, getting that visibility so they can handle the coaching and, really change, some of those behaviors within their organization?
Yeah, so no, great question. So the next slide was basically more about the dash cam and just kind of the overview of how we set up everything at the back end. So you can take a look at, as you guys can see on this screen, you can just take a look at it. What are the events have triggered, how we set it up, and then from there on, you can take that information and kind of pass it on to your drivers, or kind of have a conversation with them if they're doing good or what needs to be improved. Is that?
No, that's yeah, I mean, it's
that
great
slide?
stuff. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
it's pretty simple and to use, and just kind of speaks to itself. From smoking to cell phone use, distracted driving, all the AI components we talked about, it's also included in here as well.
So how about from just like an overall story from from fleets that you've worked with, Shahbaz, right? So I mean, I know you gave one example with the box truck, but I mean, just overall experience on how folks are leveraging the cameras, any like real success stories that you guys have seen, like as far as like getting out of a I mean, nuclear verdicts are a huge thing in our industry right now, right? So I mean, that's one of the big advantages that I see with cameras is being able to prove out that, hey, I was actually innocent, and negate any potential nuclear verdict. So I mean, as you look at that, right, I mean, do you have any stories on fleets that you've worked with where we've really helped them out from a litigation perspective?
Yeah, so one of the customers we're having a conversation about the dash cam, and after the installation is one of the truck drivers were driving and they got into an accident, and there was a fatal injury involved as well, and it was so the whole story was that they blamed everything on the truck driver. So I think that there was a lawsuit close to $1 million. For the corporation. So after looking at the camera, after looking at all the videos that they had, the $1 million lawsuit was denied. So that was huge for just having that camera in the tractor.
Yep. And in my experience too, I mean, there was countless number of stories where just having that camera, it's think of it almost as like an insurance policy to prove out exactly what took place, because I mean, everybody knows, like hey, I mean, they look at it and say, oh, it's always the big bad trucker's fault, right? And I'm going to go after them because I think they might have deep pockets, and so being able to prove out exactly what occurred in that incident. I mean, we had multiple occasions where attorney would reach out and basically state that whatever the case was, and our customer would just send back the video, and would never hear from that attorney again, right? Because they knew they didn't have a case to fight. So I mean, all sorts of things like that it took place, but it's really a great insurance policy. So speaking of like the technology side of things, right? So you talked about your customer support, how people would go about installing this stuff, right? You have an installation team. You mind just talking through a little bit about what it means, like after you would purchase a device, right? So I mean, how does the onboarding process work? How would I go about getting this installed if I purchase this type of solution, Shahbaz?
Yeah, we try to keep it simple as possible. So we have the resources at the back end. We do assign a project manager, which means that after when you buy it, when we start with the onboarding process, we do send you guys videos to kind of take a look at it too, and also train you on the back end how to use it. Just the backend platform. And then once that's done, we do work with you guys if the installation is needed. If you guys want to do it by yourself, we'll help you with that as well, in terms of sending you documents. And then if the installation is needed, depending upon how many cameras or where those trucks are located, we can figure out everything on our end and do all the heavy lifting to make sure the installation is done right. We take videos of the installation. We also have apps that can be used in terms of the workflow, and also just the KPIs and the scorecard, which can help all the fleet managers as well.
How about from a timing standpoint? Is it like a quick, easy install? I mean, are they ripping apart the dash? I mean, how does it work with your solution, Shahbaz?
So with our solution, it's I think that the OBD2, as you guys know, is a quick, easy install. But overall, the camera and everything else, I would say it's not that hard to install. We have seen half of the companies installing it by themselves, and half of them just need some help, or they might have another camera solution. So it kind of depends, but it doesn't take more than probably 1.5 hours for installation.
Okay, so we're looking at like a 30-minute install, so it's pretty straightforward.
It is pretty straightforward, right? So depending upon if we're looking at having 10 or 15 trucks at the same location, it helps to install at the same time. But if they're not, and when they're coming in, that might become challenging a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you had any additional slides or additional comments, Shahbaz, before we open it up for questions.
No, I don't. I kept it simple. I wanted to have more of a dialogue kind of conversation than monologue here. So yes, absolutely, yep. I'm open for questions.
Great. Well, we've got a little bit of time left, so we'll just let folks, if you have questions, feel free to type it in the chat, and we'll keep keep Shahbaz on here for another 9 minutes. Shahbaz, while we wait for any questions to come in, do you want to just mention how people would get in contact with you, like if they are interested, that type of thing, so folks know where to reach out.
Yeah, so one way to reach out is you guys can reach out directly to Nick and his team, or if you guys have any questions, I will send out my contact information. I can pass it on to Nick and Kara, and they can pass it on to the team as well. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to help.
That'd be great. So yeah, I mean, just so the folks know that that are listening live, or you're going to be listening to the recording, feel free to reach out to your TVC representative, your TVC sales representative, or call the the TVC sales line. If you are interested, we can get you in touch with a Spireon team and get you some additional information. So, but with that, we did have one.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we did have one question that came in. So the question is from Josh Joycuddy. Do you have a lot of driver pushback on being recorded? And I'm guessing Josh is referring to more of the the in-cab facing, right? So the stuff that's watching in the cab.
Yeah, well, there's a pushback, but it's also for the driver safety. So it just depends. It depends around how do you want to kind of talk to your drivers, like, hey, it's more about your driver safety and about the company safety as well, and the lawsuits against you guys that can happen. So it goes both ways. Yes, of course, there's a pushback that you're being recorded all the time.
Yeah, and what I found too, and working with fleets is, instead of using it as a stick, right, you use more of the carrot approach, right? So it's one of those things, like if there's something in it for the drivers in your fleet, by having the cameras on them and just letting them know what the overall goal is, but being able to incentivize a driver through like a safety bonus type program, if they hit certain metrics, within that dashboard, that tends to to help out with the buy-in quite a bit, from my experience.
Yeah, I agree. The rewarding is a lot more beneficial.
Yeah. One other question that came in from Randy Knott is, how are software upgrades performed on the existing units?
So all the software are done at the back end. We do notify you guys when when there's an upgrade to the hardware. So you guys are notified, and usually they're done either midnight or between 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. And
it's all over the air, I'm guessing, right? So they don't have to worry about, they don't have to worry about, making sure the truck is in a certain spot, or, doing a stick update or anything like that. It all happens behind the scenes. It all happens
all in the air. Absolutely. If we just want to make sure that there's a connectivity wherever the hardware is.
Excellent. Any other questions from the folks on the phone? We got one more here. So when we call TVC to find out more information, what number can we call? Kara, do you mind typing that into the chat so everybody has that? That's perfect. So that's in the answer, but just so everybody knows, 788-0604. And if you mention, you're interested in taking a look at, what Spireon has to offer from an event recorder standpoint, get you with the Spireon team. Any other questions? All right, folks. Well, thank you very much for joining. Shahbaz, really appreciate you jumping on and
Thank you.
what Spireon has to offer. Like you said, I mean, reach out directly to you, but feel free to reach out to anybody on the, with the number on the TVC team or your TVC sales representative, and be happy to get in touch with the Spireon team to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.